Aloha, everybody. Welcome to the Aloha Friday show with the Sandwich Islands Social Network. Sandwich Islands Social Network is a 501c3 nonprofit organization serving Hawaiians and Hawaiians at heart away from their island home. You can find out more about the Sandwich Islands Social Network and the work that we do, lower right-hand corner of your screen. Sandislands.org is where all of that information is at. We've been doing the Aloha Friday show for about 4 years now, and each week we have wonderful guests with island connections, which is what the Aloha Friday show is all about. So let's get going. And first of all, we want to thank Brittany Paiva for providing our music. Brittany Paiva Music is where you want to go. She is an amazing talent and a local girl. Brittany Paiva, mahalo for letting us use your music on the Aloha Friday show. And hello there, Kamaka Brown here on the Sandwich Islands Social Network with the Aloha Friday show. I'm really excited about our guest for today. We had Yvonne Elliman recently, and she and I both went to the same high school, Roosevelt High School on the slopes of Papakolea. And now I have a guest. We have a guest on the Aloha Friday show from across town on the other side that were just as formidable in their football years. And I have great friends, and I have cousins that came from the same high school, and it was Farrington High School governor. So what we have right now is NFL great, Farrington governor alumni, none other than Mr. Bob Apisa. Welcome, Bob. Thanks for joining us over here, man. We love having you, and the Menehunis are going to applaud now. Oh. Ah!
Hello, hello.
Welcome. So you come to us from Las Vegas, where you are there now with your daughter, and she is your tech support on the side. Amy, you can lean over and say hello, Amy. Go,
Okay. Hello.
yeah. Welcome. Thank you, Amy, for being here, and thanks for Bob for accepting our invitation to come on to the video podcast.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. Thank you.
Mahalo. So already we have friends that are jumping in, because they're really excited. Here's Marty Burns. Aloha Friday. Go Govs. Now, Marty Burns is one of our original supporters of the Sandwich Islands Social Network. He is a retired high school football coach that keeps touch with his students with an emphasis on Polynesian football players. He keeps track of them even after they leave him and go off to college. And so thank you, Marty, for joining us. And by the way, Bob, Marty is an amazing baker. He has a pop-up bakery called Brook the Mount Bakery. He makes amazing mochi and ube cookies. So if you ever come to Southern California, we gotta hook you up so you can take some home to Amy.
Making me very, very hungry.
Yeah, welcome, Marty. Hey, all the way from the Oregon dunes. This is my cousin, Alex Chang, who went to Kaimiki High School. Alex Chang was the first high school student, seriously, to break the 3-minute mile from
Wow.
from Kaimaki. So he is now up in Bend, Oregon, at Kaimaki right now, and he's a bulldog from Kaimaki High School. Welcome, Alex. Let me see.
I have great admiration for the people on the mainland, on the islands.
Uh-huh.
They know exactly what they want. And I appreciate them welcoming me and to you as well, Marco.
Here's Kay Bennett from the East Wing of the Holly over here saying, "Aloha, everybody! Aloha to the ohana." She's my off-camera tech support over here as well.
Great, thank you.
So, Bob, I'm going to fly to Honolulu. I'm going to meet you in Honolulu. We're both going to take the red eye. So we get over there first thing in the morning. We are beyond hungry. We hangry, us local boys. But where we going to eat?
My favorite is for pork long rice is Rainbow Drive-In, and I'm also a fan of Side Street Inn as well. I
Yeah.
love food because I have great friends there, and we usually get together over there. And every a couple of days prior to the Polynesian Hall of Fame, so I see Jesse Sapolu, who's another Farringtonian, and and Ma'atan Vasa, who's from Kapolei, and he played at Justice Apollo, of course, played over at San Francisco 49ers with 5 Super Bowl rings, and Ma'atan Vasa's got a couple of rings from Denver Broncos as well. So they're
Yeah.
good friends. Good friends.
Side Street is one of my faves too. I haven't been. They have one on Kapahulu now, but I go to the old one, the one by Ala Moana Center in Kaka'ako. That's the hangout. Hard to get parking. You got to park one car on top of the other, but you know what?
It is. It is. And that's run by a friend of mine by the name of Albert. He's a
Albert.
yeah.
I know
And
Albert. Yeah.
Albert is just a sweetheart of a guy, a good friend. But
Yes.
I let him know before I come home every January. I do that.
Nice, 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 nice. Um, you've from coming out of Farrington. Um, tell us a little bit about what memories you have of being on that great football team in those years, the coaches, the community support that Farrington had from the community.
I think over time, those 3 years I was there, or 4 years, you can play as a freshman at that time. So you can only play your sophomore, junior, senior year, and you had to wherewithal to do what you needed to do because that's what you're about to do from the islands to Michigan. And Duffy Doherty was my coach, and those of us like Dick Kinney, who's an Iolani boy, and also Charlie Wiedemeyer from Punho. We meshed together along with my teammates from south of the Mason-Dixie line, as well as the northern part of the country, and we felt very very much at home with Duffy. He was like a second father to us, you know. And we Duffy loves Hawaii, and he plays golf over at Aloha, over at the main golf course, and he likes that. He sends all his assistants to the other 49 states.
So from Farrington now, you're making some choices of where you would go. What are some of the choices that you had, and what was the final decision?
Well, I whittled my choices down. I had 42 offers
Oh,
in Scotland. And my last 3, I took Penn State, but they weren't in the conference at the time. But there was SC was my second choice, and Michigan State was my last choice.
oh,
And I whittled my choices down to Michigan State only because they played in the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of all bowls, and which I had the pleasure and privilege of doing in 1965. And also, at that time, I had to learn about life, as a young man from Hawaii, and to learn how to dress, the attire. I had slippers, wore slippers with shorts and a parka, and that's my entire get up at that time. Yeah. But people laugh at that, but you maintain that's the real Spartan back then, and that's
Yeah.
our nickname. But you know, oh, Duffy had a friend. He was the equipment manager by the name of Ken Early. I befriended Ken Early, and so he gave me parkas and sweatsuits and all that. So if you came to my room over at the Wonders Hall, you think I'm the AD instead of just a regular player, because I didn't know how to dress, but I knew how to dress after a while.
Hmm. Hmm. Here's Glenn Stang, cousin Glenn Stang, listening from Honolulu. Uh, Glenn lives out Waianae side. West Side, represent West Side.
There we go.
um, here's Marty. He's saying, Bob, I'm sure you know Jesse's son Roman has been hired by the Miami Dolphins as
Yes,
assistant O-line coach.
yes.
Wow.
I just talked to Jesse a couple of days ago. Matter of fact, my grandson, Amy's son, who played at Iolani, transferred to Bishop Gorman here at Nevada, and played at special teams, and played up at Michigan State. He graduated early, and he went to Fresno State. Got his master's degree in December. Jacob Pulu Apisa Isaiah, and and I talked to Jesse about that. He is a free agent at a camp right now with San Diego Chargers. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Big
Um,
boy.
carrying on the legacy, right, of his father and his family. You know.
I told Jacob a while back, and I said, "You own your own legacy.
Hmm.
You are who you are, and forget about Grandpa. Forget about your dad playing with Baltimore Ravens, and with he started off with Belichick over at New England Patriots, and Saleh is a dear ex son-in-law, and he passed away, and we pay him tribute every November
Hmm.
for the last 2 or 3 years. He's been away.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's Kevin Wiedemeyer from the Wiedemeyer family. He lives in San Diego. He's a good brother of mine, good friend. Aloha, Kevin. Welcome aboard. We're talking about his granduncle Charlie and that whole family over there. From
I think Charlie has been a very great integral part of that team. We took two national championship teams plus two outright all Big Ten school championship. And for Charlie, we were down at Ohio State, and we were undefeated, of course. And we had about a minute left in the game, and we're behind. And luckily, I was able to take the ball over. It was rain drenched during that day down in Columbus, Ohio, and Charlie held the ball, held the snap, and he had steady hands as the quarterback. And Dick Kenny would boot the extra point. Well, these two guys, they finagled some way or another, because they did something over the week, and they pulled it off by themselves without even
wow.
Duffy knowing. And the snap came back to Dick Kenny, and Charlie Whittemore, ran around the corner and tossed a 2 point conversation or conversion, and it
Conversion.
was 9-8 at that time. It's 11-8. So the
Wow.
best to do is for them to do is to tie us. We had a minute left, and so the next day in the papers they had Hawaiian 11, Buckeyes 8. So I was very very happy with that.
Great stories. Love those stories. We're going to take just a little break right now, and we'll be right back. Our guest today on the Aloha Friday show is NFL football great Bob Apisa. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
And we're back with NFL football great Bob Apisa. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for your comments. We encourage you to, if you have questions or you just want to say aloha, you want to say hello to Bob and myself. If you have any questions about football, about athletics, you're planning a trip to Samoa, and maybe we can get some tips over there too, as well. But tell me about November 19th, 1966. Why is that an important date?
November 19th, 1966, we played Notre Dame. We were both undefeated, and it was witnessed by 33 million people in our country. We shut down Hawaii it was like a holiday. Back in those days, I remember very well that for those of us who lived that time, and back in those days, if you had a Zenith or a Motorola or an RCA TV with two rabbit ears and filament at the end of it, and Spachi, for the first time in Hawaii, it brought Hawaii to the 20th century as far as telecommunication is concerned.
Wow.
But it also, because of the protocol sons that we were, myself, Dick Kenny, and Charlie Whittemire. And it was also the first live and direct telecast to the troops in Vietnam. So we're very, very proud of that accomplishment. And when you go back home, you see people turning on a TV with remote control. It all dates back. It all harkens back to those days. So
yeah,
I'm very, very proud of that. And my Farrington days were instrumental in my life. A funny thing about that, I was coached by Tom Kiyosaki, and we used to take sumo lessons. And there was a pagoda over at Hoftailing Street back in those days, for the H1. And it was run by Uncle Larry Mehau, along with Buzzy Hong and Joe Perry and all those people. And all you saw was, these young ladies coming up and watching you do your thing. And we had little ripped up fire hose tires to wrap around our waist. So back in those days, this make A. So you had all these girls. I mean, well, they were titas.
All the titas will show up.
So and if Larry throws you somewhere and your sash goes the other way, that's it. I mean, you have to cover yourself. So it's a very laughable situation, but we learned low center of gravity. That's what Tom Kiyosaki wanted to infuse in the ball players.
Yeah.
And when I went and I had some real good coaching there. Harry Picaro was my backfield coach, And I've always given praise to Harry because when I went to Michigan State, what Duffy got was the finished product of Harry Picaro. I was ready. That's where I made my bones. That's where I earned my spurs in Clee. But all good things, and I've learned about life when I went up to Michigan State. And the greatest thing that happened to me was having my two daughters in from Flint, Michigan, Kelly and Amy.
Nice.
Anyway, as we progressed along in life, I knew that when the draft day came along in 1968, and I was drafted in the ninth round, in the middle rounds, 17, by Vince Lombardi, the Fable coach from Green Bay Packers. And the trophy is named after him on the Super Bowl win. And not many men can actually say that they were drafted by Vince Lombardi, played under him, and had my contract negotiated with him. So I have a lot of things that I'm thankful for in my life. Being a kid from American Samoa, as I mentioned before, being raised with the kerosene lantern. And in 1952, I came to Honolulu for the first time, and I saw this crescendo of lights. And there was the dough pineapple lit up with lights. And I told my brother George Ciosi, because I couldn't speak English, and neither could he. And I told him, I said, there must be hundreds and hundreds of kerosene lanterns out there. So that's how I equated light. I've never seen a light switch, or a light bulb or whatever. But 12 years later, from 1952, when I arrived, I'm at Michigan State playing for the Big Ten national championship teams. So
Wow.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, here's Kevin Wiedemeyer, and he's saying, I had to share the show with my auntie. So he's making sure that his auntie is watching and is viewing the show today, too.
The Wiedemeyer families, the Kaulukuis, they're iconic names in the history of athletics over in Hawaii. And I'm very happy to play with Charlie at that time. His son Kale is a physician, and he has a daughter named Carrie, and bless them for what they do. But I know that in my experiences in high school alone, Charlie Wiedemeyer, pound for pound, is the best athlete I've ever seen. He held his own. Unfortunately, he passed away in an untimely manner, but we remember his legacy. And back in those days, when you go to school, it's not where you go to high school, it's where you go after high school. And if you matriculate up to the Big Ten, or you go to the Pac-8 with Ohio State, with Oregon State and SC and schools like that. But now they're all in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So it's a given that people look and follow the players from Hawaii to see what's going on.
Right. Here's someone that's on our Sandwich Island network page and saying, you remember that goal line stand that UCLA held you at the ending of the game after you had ripped off that long touchdown run in the waning minutes?
Yes. Wow. Yes, I do. And the final score, I think, was 14-12. I believe, from my memory, on me. But I remember Duffy and we were number one in the country. We took the national championship with the UPI poll, and we played in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. Um, it was something that for Duffy to call my number at the very end. If I scored my 2 point conversion, it would end up in a tie. Back in those days, they did not have a tiebreaker. So the best we could do was the tie of the game. And they stopped me about a yard short, and I own it. I told Duffy and I told my guys that they were disappointed, but we did the best we could.
Yeah.
And we blocked the best we could. And UCLA deserved to win that game because they played well. They were well prepared for it.
Love those stories, Bob. Love those stories and those memories of that. We're going to take a little short break, and we will be right back with more with our special guest on the Aloha Friday show, NFL great Bob Apisa. We'll be right back. Yes, indeed. Three great outdoor ho'olaulea festivals coming up this summer in Southern California. We'd love to have you join us actually next week in Santa Fe Springs for the Heritage of Aloha Festival on the 18th and 19th of May. So come on out to Santa Fe Springs if you're in the area. Would love to see you. Our guest on the Aloha Friday show is Bob Apisa, coming to us from his home in Las Vegas and sharing just some special memories and special stories about his time with the NFL. Let's see. We have more folks that are coming. Oh, Jesse, Marty Burns says your story about coming to Hawaii and seeing all the lights it sounds so much like Jesse Sapolo's experience about when he came from Samoa, seeing all of the big city lights and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, there's Abella Carroll. Abella Carroll is editor of our e-zine, our Malama magazine for Sandwich Islands Network. Aloha to Abella and to Bill Carroll. They're out in Orange County to hear. Here is our talent coordinator and our production assistant. He's actually my boss, Nate Jones. And he says, looking good, Bob. Mahalo for coming on. As I mentioned to you, my mom graduated from Farrington 1 year after you, and my dad attended Iolani. And like Dick Kenny and my sister, graduated from Punahou like Charlie Wiedemeyer, and graduated Cooley Law School in Lansing near Michigan State. Look at that. All of those paths cross, yeah.
And thank you for that. The compliments. I think, at the end of this year, as a matter of fact, where they're building a statue. The five of us were two-time All-Americans, and along with Duffy.
Wow.
That statue being built and be unveiled either this spring or next fall during the season. And they'll be standing right in front of the Spartan Stadium.
Wow.
Here's a kid coming from Samoa with a kerosene lantern and standing on a statue. But it speaks volumes for my teammates. It speaks volumes for the people of Hawaii because they were behind me in my support system at that time, and I think I owe it to them to do whatever I can to be of help. I share that honor very much with the people back home.
Wow. Here's DC Makaena. This is my brother, DC Makaena. He's in Huntington Beach, California. He says, Aloha Avakea from 204 J Lexington Drive, Halava Housing, classmate of beloved brother Rudy Apisa. Aloha, brother Bob.
Thank you very much for mentioning that because I'm a Halava housing project, and I went to, hey, I have a lot to learn from that. It taught me manhood, okay? In how books can teach you all kinds of stuff, but streetwise, you have to learn that on your own survival. And Halava housing is my core.
Love.
But mentioning Rudy, God bless him. That's my younger brother, and I love him very much. And his daughter Robin was able to house Jacob for a couple of months in training for the tryout over at San Diego Chargers, and she lives in Phoenix, Arizona. So thank you.
Wow.
For
Wow. I love it. I love it the way, all of all of us Polynesians, no matter where you're from in all of Polynesia, at some point, yeah, we all just kind of weave into that basket of aloha, and we just bathe in it. It's beautiful.
I think in my estimation, I've seen some, and I've worked with some beautiful women, but there's nothing like hapahalis. Okay, they're beautiful ladies, but at the same time, the local girls back home don't take a backseat to anybody I have
No.
known, and I'm very proud of them. When I go home, I wear a different hat. I worked with the governor's office and with Governor George Ariyoshi. And a funny story was that I walked into, and Jack Burns was the governor at the time. And George was the lieutenant governor at the time. So I went over with Mike Kami'i. He says, the lieutenant governor wants to say hello first. And I walked into his office, and George got up and shook my hand, and he says, I'm so happy we went to school together, or came from the same alma mater. I said, I didn't know you went to Farrington. But I found out George Ariyoshi is from Michigan State. He went to school there. And I joke with George every now and then when I see him. But it's fabulous, as you mentioned, the interwoven of friendship,
True.
the interwoven of different ethnics, and that's what that's what Hawaii is made of, a cosmopolitan interwoven of ethnics, and I love the culture as well.
Bob, I want to get your thoughts on Polynesian football players, especially those that came from Samoa, and even the players that come from Hawaii. This Polynesian football players, they're especially from the generation, the '60s and the '70s, and I think as we move forward, their feelings about the sport and how they represented not only their culture but their families as well. That they were really driven to make sure that they left a good legacy, because who they represented. Was that something that you found to be true?
It's when you go to school back in those days, and even now, my good friend Olin Kutz from Washington, and my good friends like Kevin Mawai, or from LSU, and Justice Apollo and Ma'atanubasa. It all depends on the where you go, or Marcus Mariota or Tua Tagovailoa. These guys are all from Hawaii, but at the same time, I mentioned to them, I made a comment. I said, in my speeches, if you go away to go to school, make sure you represent your surname, your family name, right behind your back. I didn't have the privilege of having a name on my uniform. They just identified you with your number. But it's incumbent on all to make sure that you do your best as you go to school and represent them. But at the same time, keep in mind that you're representing Hawaii and the people of Hawaii, because we go around in the world and in terms of experiences and different schools and this and that. But if you maintain that same mentality as somebody from home, from the 50th state, you're they're proud of you. They're proud of your accomplishment, but make sure that you carry yourself as in the right way. And I've also mentioned that respect is earned. It's not entitled to anybody.
Exactly. Love it. Love it. We're going to take a short break and we will be right back talking more with NFL great Bob Apisa. We'll be right back. Yes, indeed. If you would like to be a sustaining member, ohana of the Sandwich Islands Social Network, on the lower right-hand corner of your screen, sandislands.org is where you can find out how you can be a sustaining member of our ohana and help us to continue to do the work we do in our community and beyond. Right here at the Sandwich Islands Social Network. If you just join us, we're talking to Bob Apisa, NFL great, and he goes beyond that. Now, Bob, your football career, the last team you played for the Green Bay Packers, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong, right? You were with them for, how long were you with the Packers?
I was there. I signed a two-year contract with them.
Mhm.
They had traded Jim Taylor to New Orleans Saints, and Paul Horning had just retired. But I was up there with Bart Starr, Ray Nitschke, and some of the greats, and Forrest Gregg and people like that. Because of my injuries, they wanted me to go. They wanted me to go to New Brunswick, New Jersey, and to get my knees done and come back. But at that time, I was exhausted with injuries.
Mhm.
I'd undergone 7 or 8 knee operations, and I said to myself, if I do this, you're damaged goods, number one, and to
Mhm.
be honored to be drafted in the NFL. And I wanted to start life, and I married my sweetheart, Pat. Of course, she's a Michigan State graduate. Pat Novak is the mother of Kelly and Amy and my daughters, And, I just wanted to move on in life.
It was
There's got
time.
to be after football.
Yeah.
And football is just a means to an end for me.
Hmm.
But I love the game.
Yeah. So here's a question. I believe that Junior Ka'ai preceded you at Michigan State.
Yes,
Junior.
he did. He
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Junior I was the first guy there, and the second guy there was, um, but he didn't last for a couple of years, and it was Ane. Um, is it the youngest Charlie Ane's younger brother?
Hmm.
And I forgot,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he took about a year, then he dropped out. But Junior Ka'ai is the first from the islands to play up at Michigan State, along with Larry Cundiff, who came on later on.
Yeah.
And Larry,
Marty Burns says Polynesian players were big time represented in the 2024 draft. Yes, indeed. They really were.
to be with great players like Bubba Smith, George Webster, and people of that nature. Clint Jones and Gene Washington. It's a great treat to be honored with them, but as well as having the time to look at where you fall and what you have to do with time that you have after football. So
Hmm. Just
move
got a
on.
just got a note here from Kevin Wiedemeyer. Says his auntie not able to watch right now, but she says many blessings sent our way. And a good thing about our video podcast is all of our podcasts are archived on our YouTube channel, and so it can share with other friends, our listeners as well. That if they're not able to join us live like now, that all of our videos are on our YouTube channel, the Sandwich Island Social Network YouTube channel. It'll be there as well. Here's DC Makaena, and he goes, I got together with our Halava housing brothers, Walter, Thomas, Donald, John, the likes of Peter Malai, Elroy, Suki Louie brothers as well. Cannot forget the Souza brothers, Willie, Harold, Franklin.
You know, the Mays brothers. Come on, Alaba Housing.
He goes, Radford, IL, Waipahu, great memories, great football players, one and all. Thank you, DC.
Well, I have great memories of Alaba Housing. It figured in constructively for me as a young man growing up from American Samoa. That's where we lived,
Yeah.
and I still am in communication with Donald Mays and Billy
Wow.
Mays, as Walter. So
Wow.
yeah, and time and time, if Tommy has the time to get back to me on text, he would. But
Yeah.
I love the Mazes. They're good buddy,
There's
good
Auntie
friends.
Kay Bennett. She's going, go, Pack, go. She says, I am a lifelong cheesehead. I remember you. Kay is dyed in wool Packers, Green Bay. She's got the cheesehead. She's got all of it. And she remembers you very well on the Packer team over here. You know,
We stayed up over at St. Norbert's College in Green Bay, and that was quite a treat to have, bed checks and all that stuff. But but yeah, you do your job.
yeah.
You're trying to do your job, and if you're not up to snuff, next man up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was very honored, very privileged to this day to be up there with Green Bay.
Indeed. We'll take another short break and we'll be right back because I want to talk to you, Bob, about the iconic years in the '60s, and also a book that is on Amazon. And I want to talk about your good friend Tom, who Shanahan, who's a good friend of yours. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that when we come back. We'll be right back, folks.
Thank you.
Bob Apisa, Samoan. Bob Apisa was a road warrior, paving the way for many of the Polynesians who traveled to U.S. mainland college football programs. Bob Apisa traveled from Hawaii to East Lansing, Michigan, where in the mid-1960s he made a name for himself in the Big Ten while playing under legendary Michigan State coach Duffy Daugherty. He also made a name for himself. Bob Apisa was one half of the duo known as the Hawaiian Punch. There was no drink back then called the Samoan Punch. Bob Apisa, the first Samoan to be named All-American. He was a two-time national champion, a member of Michigan State's Athletics Hall of Fame, and played for the Green Bay Packers. His true fame? Well, these are his words about earning his college degree. Quote, "When I went to Michigan State, it was a matter of pride for me. I was representing not only myself, my family, and the Samoan community, but Hawaii too. I had 3 knee operations in college, and it was my responsibility to all the people back home that inspired me to get up mornings when it was 20 degrees below zero in East Lansing and walk half a mile on crutches to an 8 a.m. class. It brings a feeling of shame on your family if you don't accomplish what you set out to do. A Samoan is going to see something through, right or wrong." Polynesian Football Hall of Fame doing the right thing, inducting Bob Apisa.
Dear Bob, so my kid brother's high school class is beginning to think about college. Sure, I'll be glad to help you prepare a report on Michigan State.
Timetable, 1965. Civil rights, the Vietnam conflict, the JFK assassination. America was on fire. Youth were out in full force on college campuses, and Michigan State University was no exception. In East Lansing, Michigan, football was a way of life, and Spartan head coach Duffy Daugherty understood the power he held to define the culture at MSU. Duffy knew the way the world was heading and decided to be a pioneer. He gave black players from the South and players from Hawaii an opportunity to play Division I football, and recruited the first fully integrated team in its 95-year history, a team that would rise to be the greatest in the nation. In 1966, the undefeated Spartans played their rival 8-0 Notre Dame, that will later be dubbed the game of the century. 33 million fans tuned in to watch the riveting clash of culture, a metaphor for the racial issues of the day. The epic battle ended in a tie, and fans throughout would be heartbroken when an undisputed national champion would not be crowned. A further metaphor, there was still much progress to be made in civil rights. But the game left a mark on the sport. The following year, the Justice Department threatened to pull funding from Southeastern Conference schools if they did not desegregate their teams. The culture was changing. Duffy Spartans won consecutive Big Ten titles, the 1965 National Championship, and were co-national champions in 1966. 4 of its players were drafted in the top 8 in the NFL, a feat unmatched to this day. The MSU Spartans reached iconic status, and Duffy was elected into the College Hall of Fame. Sports have always been a barometer for racial dichotomy in this country, and the MSU Spartans are a testament to the progress during the civil rights movement. MSU became an oasis from the civil unrest outside campus walls. Duffy forced the team to put aside their differences and made the game of football a unifying force. The Spartans had won before they even played a game. Duffy made them men, the men of Sparta.
Oh, you lived right through this pivotal time in our history, American history here, Bob. Um, Amazing changes were happening for civil rights. Tell us how it was living through that.
I think from my experiences with then we made great gains, and I think the great gains are being receding slowly but surely.
Mm,
And unfortunately, we need to make everybody count, every ethnic count, and we need to be proud of them. And it's not an all-white segment of the population; it's everybody, people of color. I'm a person of color, so I know that when we look at today, I have my own political views, of course, but I reserve that to myself in terms of who does the best job for the people, and that's the only way I go. That's the only way I roll. My wife and I, Arlena and I, we live here, but we vote. We may vote for anybody that may be against our party, but at the same time, if they help to make people better and help people, that's me for us.
yeah. Um, there is a book that I want to share this right here by Tom Shanahan. You're going to be in uh, when Ohio State plays Michigan State on September 28th. You're going to be there, and uh, the right
Uh,
thing to do. Tell us about this book here.
Tom is a great friend of mine. He's an artist from the standpoint of being an author. But he's a Pulitzer Prize writer, and he has the right demeanor as far as if that credit should be given to where it is. Right thing to do is basically to see that to point out the difference or the myth to overcome the myth that Bear Bryant started the whole thing. Uh, Integration was started by Duffy Doherty, and I think that's something that we're very, very proud of from that standpoint till the present day, and people coming in from different ethnics, from different parts of the country, they matriculate over to Michigan State for purpose, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And with all the demonstrations going on right now, we had demonstrations during my time. So
Mhm.
young minds, young people, you have to respect their manaos for what they do, what they stand for. If it's done constructively, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Um, Thanks for sharing that, Bob. And if our friends would like to pick up that book, it is available. Let me show the cover one more time. Tom
Yes.
Shanahan. You can pick it up on Amazon. The Right Thing to Do. It does trace the true pioneers of college football integration of the '60s, and it uh, features, all of the things that happened during those years. He has two books. One is called A Ray of Light, and these
Yes.
books are on Tom's website as well and available on Amazon. So I wanted to share that
That's correct.
with you
That's,
too.
you can find it over at Tom Shannon Report as
Mhm.
well. So,
Wonderful. Okay, so, but I don't want to leave because we come close to the end of our time together. What, an hour go by so fast? My goodness. But I do want to. You know what? I'm going to take just one short break, and then we will be right back. And then I want to share something with our friends that are watching to just because we can. So hold on.
Thank you.
And once again, mahalo nui loa to the Sin Ohana for their wonderful support. If you would like to find out more about how you can become a sustaining member, Ohana, to the Sandwich Islands Social Network, lower right-hand corner of your screen, sandislands.org gives you all that information. Once you were done with football, and now you began a 34-year career as an actor, a stuntman, and a director. For me, over the years, every now and then, I would be watching an action movie and I would say, "That's Bob Apisa with the dark glasses, the heavyweight guy in the back, the guy that's got," he said, "That's brother Bob Apisa," and I remember this one. This is Hard Target, right? And
Right.
I would say,
We filmed that down in New Orleans. And, that's where I met my very favorite actor was Rod Steiger. And he was, somebody that I looked up to. And I've worked with Clint Eastwood before, and I've worked with Bruce Willis. But, it's work. You have to be, and I worked with Tom as well.
Here's Magnum PI. Magnum PI.
You can see the hair on my head, on my bowler head, so I'm fine.
And you did stunt work, amazing amount of stunt work too that was involved. I've seen you fly through the air, and
that's how I learned how to cut films. Being a second unit director, and I did that with Mallrats and Little Bow Wow, whatever. The movies that keep piling up. But the fact is, it's just work. And I worked with the governor's office. I have a graduate degree, and I didn't want to sit in an office and be some mundane life, over and over and over. So my office is different places like Atlanta or Miami or Seattle or wherever I can go, or Vail, Colorado, for that matter. But I've worked with some very established people, artists, and I've learned a little bit of how the cut film, and the Men of Sparta is something of my doing as far as directing and cutting it. It's in the Michigan State Archives right now.
Beautiful.
So it's been there forever.
Well, as we come near the close of our time together, I didn't want to forget to acknowledge DC Makaena goes, as a sidebar, a couple of years behind Bob was Susan Midler, Bette Midler's older sister, that lived up the street from Bob in Halava housing as well. Small world, no?
Yeah. Bette Midler was a Radford girl, and she's a well-known singer.
Right.
And for us to do something from that small little 50th state is a tribute to what we can do as human beings.
Yeah.
Not only athletics, but also as singers like Yvonne, Element that you had last week, people of Bette Midler, who's singer, actress. So, it shows what the island or the 50th state can produce.
Yeah.
Knowledge that we can do, and we can work and produce at the same time.
I just got on one of my other screens. It says Bob has some stories about working with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon during his days in Hollywood too.
Yes, yes. It was funny because as a stunt coordinator and as handling the second unit direction, I taught Ben Affleck his first punch.
Oh,
And it was funny because we're up in Eden Prairie, up in Minnesota, on Mallrats. And I told him, I said, don't cross this line. I'll have the camera set up here so it'll fake the punch. It'll look like a real punch. And Ben Affleck jokingly told me, he says, what happens if I step over the line there? I says, you better make it a good shot or else you'll be running. But Matt Damon, then I went right from there to Courage in the Fire, and I saw Matt Damon and Denzel Washington. So we're all good friends.
yeah. Marty Burns has a comment. I remember Jesse Sapolo telling me that when he came to the NFL, he didn't see anyone that looked like him in the locker room. Occasionally, he'd meet another Polynesian player from another team. Now Polynesians are making their mark across college and NFL, just as we've said. Absolutely.
You know what? I think Polynesians in general have made their mark.
Yeah.
Samoan ball players, it was reported by, I think it was Tom Koppel, the old 60 Minutes. He traced the ratio of people from American Samoa or from Hawaii who are now in the NFL, per ratio of population. So we're very proud of that, regardless of whether you've been here and there in terms of experiences wise. And I value what Jesse has done with the Polynesian Hall of Fame, along with Ma'atanabasa. So we have, inductees every year. And I'm happy, I'm privileged to be honored that induction back a few years back.
Beautiful. Bob, thanks so much for taking time out of your day and Amy too, for being your tech support. Aw, thank you. We appreciate your time, Bob, and mahalo for sharing your mo'olelo, your stories. Enjoyed it so much. Mahalo, brother. Thank you.
I'm grateful for your help and admire your show. But this Sunday is Mother's Day. I want to wish all the mothers and the children and the kids and the fathers should honor them because it's something that's done rightly. And every year we celebrate our moms.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. For now, we're going to say ahui ho, which means until I see you again soon. God bless. And from all of the Sandwich Islands social network, ohana, we send our love and aloha. Aloha, Bob. Thank you so much.